Hello guys, I'm Gaurav and now I'll be discussing the prelims questions regarding social issues, schemes, international relations and finally situation based questions. Surprisingly, with every consecutive year UPSC comes up with a new form of questions, and this time it is situation based questions. They are nothing but the, I would call them as mini case studies from the ethics part of the main syllabus. So let us begin. The first question is, which among the following is or are the objectives of the rain fed area development initiative under the National Mission for Sustainable Agriculture? The statements are like this: encouraging monoculture in rain fed areas, increasing rice cultivation in irrigated regions, enhancing productivity, and minimizing climatic risks through integrated farming systems. So, if I were to be attending this question, as I have attempted prelims numerous times, what I would do? This is surely a question of elimination. I would think about ways to eliminate, and let me go by similar or simple logic. See, they have asked about rain-fed area development through National Mission for Sustainable Agriculture. Please do remember about the word sustainable. And look into the first statement. It says that it is encouraging monoculture in rain-fed areas. Sustainability and monoculture, they do not come in a similar page. So we can eliminate option 1. Now come into the second statement, increasing rice cultivation in irrigated regions. Please go through the question once again. They are talking about rain fed area development, and the second statement talks about irrigated regions and rice cultivation as well. They do not form a part of it, and it is not present in the rain fed area development program of NMSA as well. Hence 2 is also eliminated, and the right answer is option D, that is 3 only. Then let us move to the next question. Yes, this is interesting. It looks like a very huge question, but if one has been going through the current affairs and following the government schemes for a couple of years, they'll surely and very easily find out the traps that UPSC has laid. Let me go through the question. Which of the following statements with regard to person with disabilities in India is or are correct? So, the Rights of Person with Disabilities Act, an act passed by the Parliament of India in 2018, mandates reservation in education and employment, places a legal duty on governments to ensure accessibility and non-discrimination. If one is aware of the current affairs for a couple of years, and if one has clearly gone through what the schemes have been doing or what the government is doing in the space of social justice, one would easily at the first glance of it take this out, because it's 2016 not 2018. Hence option 1 is normally, and in this question very specifically, if you remove option 1 you will directly get the answer, that is B. But what if you do not know if it's 2018 or 2016? Can we still solve the question? Yes. Look at the option 3. The NDFDC, or National Divyangjan Finance and Development Corporation, is a public sector organization set up by Ministry of Corporate Affairs as a not-for-profit company to promote entrepreneurship among persons with disabilities. It's not Ministry of Corporate Affairs, but Ministry of Social Justice and Empowerment. This has been the doing of UPSC in most of the questions that it has given in prelims. They change the ministries, and if one is fair and calm while attempting the paper, will surely be easily able to eliminate this and derive the answer, that is B, 2 only. Let us move to the next question. Which of the following statements with respect to revamped Rashtriya Gram Swaraj Abhiyan is or are correct? The period of its implementation is 1st April 2021 to 31st March 2026. The key objective of revamped RGSA is to develop the governance capabilities of the Panchayat Raj institutions to deliver on the Sustainable Development Goals, that is SDGs. The share of the central funding for the revamped RGSA is 100% for all states and union territories. If one has gone through and read the PYQs and looked into the different ways and tricks of elimination, the third statement for all states and union territories can be easily removed. Hence, option C and option D become redundant. What are we left with is option A and option B. In this thing, if one is smart enough to understand the first statement and the dates presented in the first statement, just look at it. 1st April 2021 to 31st March 2026. Don't you think a similar similar dates do occur or are present in one of the government initiatives? If one is very thorough with their current affairs and its analysis, they will get to know that this closely resembles to the Finance Commission dates as such, and the Finance Commission dates do start from 1st April 2022 and not 2021. Hence, the first statement is wrong. Then the answer is B, that is 2 only. Let's move to the next question. Yes, these are the questions which I would like to call them as mini case studies which we write in the GS paper 4, that is ethics. I would call them as situational based questions, and what is required for solving this question is logic, and most importantly, it's common sense. If one is calm and is applying the logic along with common sense, it is very easy to get marks in these questions. Let me prove the same to you. Let us read question number 76. Mr. X, a senior officer, was overseeing a critical vaccination program during a pandemic. He found a private service provider responsible for vaccine distribution was compromising on quality to make profits. Despite immense pressure to manage the issue due to vested interests, he raised his voice based on the principles of public administration, which he learned during various training programs attended across his career. He reported the issue to the appropriate vigilance authority and halted the contract to ensure citizen welfare. The important point here is citizen welfare. It correlates to public interest. Which among the following principles of public administration was most strongly demonstrated by excess action? Now, let us look into those options which do not match for the action that Mr. X has taken. Delegation. If one knows in simple English or in a simple term, delegation is about giving subordinates or subordination of work. That is delegation. And whatever Mr. X has done here has got nothing to do with delegation. So D is eliminated. What about equity? Equity relates to fairness. Somewhat correlates to principles of justice as well. And is it matching to what Mr. X has done? No. Esprit de corps. What does this mean? This relates to team building efforts. And herein, Mr. X's action is not related to team building or harmony within a team. So, what we are left with is accountability. It is common sense also for us to choose accountability, because in accountability, one is responsible for its actions. Also, one has to take actions which are in line with the protection of public interest. And this is what Mr. X has done. Hence, the answer becomes C, accountability. Similarly, another situation based questions. It's a huge question, and if I were to come to a trick for this question, please just look into the options first. Which of the following statements given above would contribute to the resolution process? And the options are in such a way that we can eliminate. So, if we have to save time, what can we do? Being smart, we can think of an action or an option which does not contribute to the resolution process. If you are able to find that option first and eliminate that, you can come to the answer very quickly. Let us go through the question once. In a multi-ethnic district where both economic competition and historical grievances frequently led to community tensions, a flashpoint has arisen with a government decision to allocate land for a waste management facility near a tribal hamlet, sparking protest by the tribal community, which claimed that the land was sacred and critical to their cultural identity. So we can observe the tension that is being built. At the same time, urban residents and local industry supported the project, citing severe solid waste challenges and health concerns due to lack of proper disposal site. So we can clearly look into the number of stakeholders that are being present. As I mentioned, this is what we do in the ethics paper. The conflict has escalated with road blockades, social media campaigns, and allegations of police excesses. As a responsible government official, you are tasked with resolving the situation through mediation, ensuring a sustainable outcome that balances environmental needs, tribal health, and urban public health. I'm sorry, it was tribal rights. Look into the things that a government official is trying to manage. Consider the following statements with reference to the fall above. Now, as I said, let us look into the statement which would not contribute to the resolution process. And that would be, let us see to it. Please look into the option number 2. The government would move ahead with the project without delay to address urban health concerns which outweigh the sentiments of a small group. How is this going to bring resolution between warring stakeholders in this current scenario? This exactly goes against what the government official has to do. He has to manage the interest of all the stakeholders here, and in this case, the interest of the tribals is not taken into consideration, and 2 is naturally eliminated. If 2 is eliminated, A becomes the natural answer. 1, 3 and 4. If we go through 1, 3 and 4 and look into the options, they do actually go with the process of building consensus. For example, let's look into option number or statement number 1. A successful conflict resolution process must begin with acknowledging the cultural concerns of the protesting tribal community before discussing technical alternatives. Yes. 3. Creating a multi-stakeholder dialogue platform. Yes. This will help in the process of resolution. Conducting an independent ESIA. This is basically the impact assessment that any of the project will have on the project or process that has been proposed, and sharing finds transparently with both sides to facilitate evidence-based decision making. This is also true as well. Hence, the option A which we have come is true. Let us go to the last situation-based question, that is also based on a mini case study. Let us look into it. Now, in this as well, if we have to arrive at an answer quickly go through the options first. What amongst the following should Mr. X do now? If we have to get the answer, and with the options that is being given, that is it is 1 2 3 only, we can focus on a specific statement that will be very counter intuitive to what Mr. X should not do. If we are able to do that, and if we apply elimination technique, we surely will be able to come to an answer quickly. However, let us solve the question. Mrs. X is a mid-level civil service officer working in the urban development department of a major city. Recently, she was involved in approving a contract for a public infrastructure project, a new community park. There is public interest involved now. During the approval process, she received a piece of confidential information indicating that one of the shortlisted contractors had a history of poor workmanship and allegations of corruption in other cities, though nothing had been legally proven. Please make a note of though nothing had been legally proven. The head of the department, Mr. Y, advised her not to disclose this information to the project committee or the public because it could delay the project and damage the city's reputation. However, Mrs. X believed that withholding such information compromised transparency and public trust. What amongst the following should Mrs. X do now? Immediately disclose the information to the project committee and public. Please make a note of the word immediately disclose and correlate with the word nothing has been legally proven. If Mrs. X does this, it will go against the principle of ethics, and I would like to say that the information disclosure is unverified, and when the information is unverified, immediately disclosure is not is not something that comes under the principles of ethics. Hence, this is something that Mrs. X should not do. If we were to eliminate option 1, we would be left with option B and option C. Let us look into the statement number 2. Recommend removing the contractor from the shortlist to protect the project's integrity. By doing this, Mrs. X would go against the principle of due process and natural justice. Hence, this is also something that Mrs. X should not do. Eliminate both 1 and 2 and we'll be left with statement number 3 that is present in option B. Let us go through it once. Propose a limited disclosure to an oversight committee while keeping the information confidential from the public for the time being till the due process is done. So, what we learned from these situation based questions is that we need logic and we need common sense. If we have them both and apply them given to a very particular question, we will easily get the answer as such. Now, let us move to the international relations based questions, and they are very interesting because this is something which is highly current oriented. There's current affairs, there's theory, and there's some sort of mapping required as well. So, overall, I would say it is based on application of whatever we have read for the past year. Let us look into the first question. It is about matching the questions, and these are the questions wherein you will have to answer them properly and correctly. Interpol silver notice, blue notice, black notice and green notice. These are the notices that were there sometime in the news, now or then. If you have been following current affairs properly, the blue notice was in news in one of the Goa incidents. And blue notice was exactly relating to the second option, that is to collect additional information about a person's identity, location or activities in relation to a criminal investigation. If one gets to know about current affairs, he can easily correlate B, that is blue notice, to the second option in list 2. Hence, we can eliminate option A and option D. Now, the silver notice was also in the current affairs. It was related to certain crypto cases as such. And it is very closely related to identify and trace criminal assets. As I mentioned, it was related to crypto cases. So A correlates to 4. That is option C. You've got the answer. Now let us move to question number 43. The Chancellor of Republic of Germany visited India in Jan 2026. Look into the dates. It is one of the most recent events that have happened. And if one is thorough with current affairs, one would clearly remember where Chancellor Merz traveled across India. You would remember that he went to Gujarat, Sabarmati Ashram and other places. So now, keeping that in mind, let us solve this question. Which of the following is or are not correct? Remember this, it's not correct in terms of outcomes of this visit. Signing a memorandum of understanding between All India Institute of Ayurveda and University of Hamburg. This is a factual statement. One might not know this. If one knows this, well and good. Let us think about the other thing as well. Opening of Honorary Consul of Germany in Lucknow. If the current affairs, as I mentioned, was followed properly, we will get to know that this was not Lucknow. This was in Gujarat. Hence, option 4 is eliminated. If option 4 is eliminated, we are left with only two options, that is A and D, 1, 2, 3. Now, let us think about establishment of a bilateral dialogue mechanism into the Indo-Pacific. This is surely true. This is surely true. To my bad, I forgot that this is not correct. So this is an incorrect statement. This is an incorrect statement. So our answer lies here. Okay. Now we'll have to look into the fact that signing of memorandum of understanding between All India Institute of Ayurveda and University of Hamburg. This was also covered in the news. And it was clear that it was not between All India Institute of Ayurveda, but the Ayurvedic Institute of present in Gujarat. Again, one is wrong as well. So, if we have to mark the statements which are wrong, the option B is right in this option. What we need to learn from this question is that very recent events are also very important, and with that event, even if you are not even if you do not know the intricate details of what they have done, if you know where they had traveled, you will surely able to answer the question. Now coming to the next question. This is a sports based questions, and UPSC has been asking questions related to sport. Let us go through it. Which of the following statements with regard to the Grand Slam tennis tournament is or are correct? The tournaments have a shared governance structure establishing the partnership among 4 Grand Slam tournaments. If one is following tennis and gets to see news here and then, one will know that there are 4 Grand Slams. And yes, there is a shared governance structure. known as GSB, that is Grand Slam board. So option 1 is true. Let us consider that you are not very sure about the statement 1. Let us see the other statements. They are open for entry for all internationally ranked players, tennis players above the age of 14. All. Extreme statement. UPSC tends to give it wrong. If we have practiced how to answer the questions, 2 is a statement that should be eliminated. If you do that, you are left with just C as the option, and incidentally it is the right option as well. But let us look into statement 3 as well. There is a limitation on the number of wild cards a player may receive to compete in a Grand Slam tournament. This is false because there are no limitations. This is written in the rule book. You can please go and check in the references that we would give. Now, coming to the next question, it is about river bridges connecting India with the neighboring countries. River bridges. This is a current affairs based question and also PYQ based. One should have gone through this to get to know that Maitri Setu is being asked, has been asked as well. Maitri Setu, built over Feni River, connects Ramgarh in India and Sabroom in Bangladesh. If one has gone through the current affairs properly, they'll get to know that these places are interchanged. Sabroom is in India, that is in the state of Tripura, and Ramgarh is in Bangladesh. So this has been interchanged and this statement is wrong. 1, A and C are eliminated. Now we are left with B and D. Jhulaghat suspension bridge connects India with Myanmar. This is Nepal, not Myanmar. Hence, 3 is the answer. So what I mean to say here is current affairs, PYQ and elimination technique will help you sail through in all these questions and will easily fetch you the marks that you require. Now let us go to question number 89. Which of the following international conventions have not been ratified? Again. There are 5 conventions. I am very sure that we will not be able to remember all the 5. Even if I was giving this exam, even I would have not known all these 5. But I would have not left this question as well. Why? Because of some of the basic knowledge that I possess from what I have read from current affairs or the static knowledge. I will try to make sure to eliminate some and get to the answer that I require. Let me just go through the 5 statements that is given below. Employment Policy Convention, Abolition of Forced Labor Convention, International Convention on the Protection of Right of All Migrant Workers and Members of their Families, Geneva Convention related to the protection of civilian persons in time of war, Convention on Reduction of Statelessness. Here, if we remember some of the news that has been going on in terms of multilateral institutions, abolition of forced labor convention is something that India is it's very keen about, and it is very keen to follow this as well. This in fact is a part of one of our fundamental rights as well. When it is part of fundamental rights, it doesn't make sense if it is not being ratified by India. Hence what we can do here is we can think and come to a conclusion that this has been ratified and remove option number 2. Now we are left with option C and D, that is 3, 4 and 5. 3, 4 is common among both the statements. Let us look into 5. Convention of Reduction of Statelessness. Think, even if we do not know this, think about the word statelessness. This is related to refugees, and India is not a member of Refugee Convention. When India is not a member of Refugee Convention, India would not have ratified the Convention on Reduction of Statelessness as well. So in that way, we can come to a conclusion that it is option D, that is 3, 4 and 5. Look how we have come to an answer based on one of the things that we might have known. Look into the linkages that I have done. Forced labor convention relating to fundamental rights, very specifically to the article 24, if I am not wrong. And the article 24, 23, these are all related to right against exploitation. Based on that, I came to a conclusion that India should have ratified 2. So I removed 2 options. It became easy for me. I didn't know what 3 and 4 was. But with 5, I came to know it is closely related to refugees, and India is not a member of India Refugee Convention. So it is option 3, 4 and 5. This way we can apply what we know and come to the answer. Yes, let us go to the next question. Which of the following connectivity projects, PYQ trend along with current affairs, is a part of cooperation between India and ASEAN member countries? These projects have been in the current affairs for a longer period of time. Kaladan Multimodal Transit Project, yes. IMT in Trilateral Highway, yes. Agartala Akhaura rail line. If one knows current affairs, if one knows where this is happening, it is between India and Bangladesh. And is Bangladesh part of ASEAN? No. Remove 3. 1 and 2 for sure. So 91, A is the right answer. This is how you practice what you have learned and develop that attitude to remove those options which are not a part of the question. Basically, you are learning elimination. Now, one more, match the following. And these are the questions wherein one should surely get it right. The Mangdechu hydroelectric project, exact current affairs, was always in the news for a number of years right now. This is clearly relating to Bhutan. A is relating to 3. We are left with 2 options. Now, restoration of Store Palace, District Hospital of Dikoya. This was also there in news. Also, this is one of the things that India has been doing as humanitarian assistance in Sri Lanka. So C becomes 4. Naturally, it's only option B. Restoration of Store Palace, it is there in Afghanistan. Institute of Security and Law Enforcement Studies, that is present in Maldives. What we are doing here is applying whatever we know to the question that is being asked. When we are sitting there in the examination hall, we are trying to solve the question amongst and we are going to get the answer amongst the 4 choices based on elimination and application of logic. That's it. Now let us move to the question number 94. This was current affairs and bit of conceptual knowledge as well. Let us see. The Colombo process is a regional consultative process in which member states take binding decisions by consensus. Look into the word binding decision. The Abu Dhabi Dialogue is a voluntary non-binding consultative process among Asian countries of labor origin and destination to facilitate regional cooperation on contractual labor mobility. The third statement reads, the Global Forum for Migration and Development, created upon the proposal of a former UN Secretary General, is a voluntary forum whose decisions are non-binding in nature. So, all the three statements are relating to migration, the labors, migratory labors as such. Now, if in the statement 1, the extreme statement or the extreme process that it has gone through is binding decision by consensus. If it is binding decision, it will not give a wriggling space for countries to negotiate, and hence most of the countries try to avoid for getting into the binding decision module. Hence, in 94, the statement 1 is wrong if we were to apply the knowledge of elimination, and we are left with option C and D, and this is conceptual and should be known, and if we were to look at it logically, it does not sound wrong, and if we were to solve it, it is the option is right, and 94 C is the right answer. Yes, this is match the following based question, and if I were to be giving the exam, had I seen this question, I would have not applied or I would have not marked this at all, because it is very difficult to know about the specific dates, and it is also very specific to difficult to remember the peacekeeping operations. What we have learnt here, or what we learn here, is it is important to look into the UN peacekeeping operations since its inception. PYQ analysis shows that UN peacekeeping operations have been asked. Now this is a theme. Here on, we will have to look into the peacekeeping operations as well. If I were to say what these refer to, the UNMIL, it is belonging to the region of Liberia. MINURCAT belongs to Central African region, and MINUSTAH, this belongs to Haiti, and UNMISET SET, this is for East Timor. The exact dates for the same would be in option B. A for 2003 to 2018 for Liberia. These were or will be present in one of the current affairs, but as mentioned, this is a PYQ theme. UN peacekeeping is becoming a theme that will be or that has a huge chance being asked in the upcoming exams as well. So please make a note of it. Okay, now let us come to option or question number 97. Match the list 1 and list 2 and select answer using the code given below the list. This is also current affairs related. If one has been doing minute analysis of multilateral organizations like BIMSTEC, SARC, and etc., they have been in the news, and they have been their regional developments as well. And looking into the current affairs and the news part of it, the BIMSTEC Energy Center has been seen in Bangalore. This is clearly a factual news based question that leaves us with two options, and the BIMSTEC technology and transfer facility was present, or it has been seen to be there in Colombo. This makes option C as the right answer. In the Indian context, if you were to look, BIMSTEC Energy Center is in Bangalore, and in Noida it is BIMSTEC Center for Weather and Climate. This is present in Sri Lanka and this is present in Bhutan. With the Indian perspective, it will be there in the current affairs and one should always go through them. Yes. Now, coming to the final question, that is, which of the following countries are members of the European Union? International bodies are in use, but let me tell you, there are exactly 27 member nations in European Union. Can you remember all 27 of them? If you can, that's well and good. But is it necessary? I would say no, because here we can do elimination. Look into the statements that are given. Option 1 or statement 1 is Belarus, statement 2 is Poland, statement 3 is Germany, statement 4 is Switzerland. The countries that we have to look here is Belarus, Switzerland. Belarus is always in the news as an ally of Russia. The Ukraine conflict should be, it's not ended yet. Every day it's in the news. So, it being in the European Union doesn't make much of sense. Hence, one is not. And Switzerland. If one has studied how Switzerland has been since the times of World War I or World War II, Switzerland has followed the policy of neutrality. If that were to be applied, we'll be left with option C, that is 2 and 3, they are the members of European Union. And that brings us to the end. And before going, I would like to say again that this is an application based exam, not based on rote memorization. What are the things required? Logic, techniques, and most importantly, core content. To inculcate the same thing during the exam, it will not happen on that day. It requires skill. And here in SuperKalam, we'll make sure that you learn this skill. With the skill that you possess, you will be able to understand the nuances of the UPSC PYQs, understand the nuances of how the options are being framed, and finally mark those answers that are right and grab the opportunity to write the mains exam. Saying that, I would say all the best, and I hope so that you have done well in this examination. Thank you.